Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. Your first, you call it your first born, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me where that came from.
My life-changing experience, I would call it that. Of course, there was the good and the bad. People criticized it as regressive. I will never accept that.
For me, the interesting thing is bringing Smriti Irani back. What was that conversation like?
Both of us are like, it's 25 years and we talk a lot. She's a friend. I told her we should do this, but I don't think we should ever do it actually. And she said, no, why? We should do this. So I always tell people that Udta Punjab and Lutera happened because of Nagin. If there was no Nagin, and oh, bade achhe lagte, these films would have not been commissioned by me. I feel bad girls make history and you have to be out there. And some people will hate you, but you have to say what you believe in.
I'm so glad I finally grabbed you because I know that you've been working really hard and it's a long overdue chat that has now been made possible by the reboot of Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. That's coming back to our screens.
You know how much I love you, Faye. You're one person. I run away from podcasts, but with you, I feel I'll say too much because you're so comforting.
Please say too much.
Yeah, okay, done.
Please say, give us names, name names constantly.
Okay, done.
But when I sat down and, we'll come back to the reboot in a minute, but when I sat down to write questions for you, I was thinking, you are our original content creator. Like, aajkal sab ban rahe content creators. Like, everybody wants to do this thing on YouTube where you're trying to figure out what will go viral. And we're trying to figure out, effectively, the way we say in Mumbai, kya chalega? What are people going to love? You figured that out 20 years ago.
Actually, I'd love to say yeah, but the problem is, I don't think I did, The problem is, I was always a misfit in a lot of ways. Like, I was the overweight kid who, amongst all my peers were training to become actors. And then I had a lot of stories in me and I stumbled upon a profession. I didn't know what I was going to do in life. I was like, one day I want to be a designer, one day I want to be this. And then suddenly when I did this, it was my calling. So I think most content creators have a lot inside them and it has to come out. And somewhere, because there was something that came out, it resonated. I think I stumbled upon it.
Tell me that story again. When you were growing up, your dad was a superstar. And did you basically in school where people said, "Tum to actress hi banoge, you will like this is what you're going to do."
I was 97 kgs in school. No one ever told me I would be an actress. And thank God if I became, there would be only me and my family watching the film because I'm so bad. But I actually always was in rooms where friends were becoming actors. So I was the only person they were not threatened by. So if I remember there used to be this dance class of Saroj Khan and Ravina would come and train and then for her launch and Karishma would come and train for her launch. And I was the only one sitting in everyone's room because no one had a problem with me being around because I was most non-threatening. Or somebody who would ever be competition, which was true.
So, but while you were sitting there, were you thinking, okay, Karishma is launching, Ravina is launching, what am I going to do?
Never.
So,
I think the most secure in my life at that time. Most secure. Lots to tell, but never feeling like, oh my God, I loved myself then, that person. If I could ever be that person again, no sense of competition, no sense of ambition, so happy for others, so excited. Oh, my friends are getting launched. Not at all feeling like, oh, what's going to happen to my future? My father would tell me, you need to lose weight. What will happen to you? I never felt that. I felt I was great. I was happy the way I was.
How did you go from there to becoming the content creator that you became? Where did that start?
So, my dad was like, you need to do something in life. You need to work. I was like, okay, I'm working in an ad agency now. And it's so funny. He had started a production house called Dolphin Telefilms. And it was with a partner abroad. And he told me, but he was shooting. And he was not at his best of his career. He was at his fag end. And he had put some money in. And that gentleman had a channel. He was supposed to buy that content. And he told me help out, and I started doing this as my dad's production house. I'm just helping him out. And I started loving it. And I could see that there was storytelling and this and that. But of course, there were many more senior people to me in the job. So I had to listen to them. Like, this is not the way, this is the way.
Yeah.
And then the shows went abroad to the gentleman who lived in Dubai, who was supposed to do this channel. It was an international channel called TV Asia.
Okay.
This content was for that. And he was a partner in the production house and he owned the channel. And he had not put in his money. My dad had put in all the money. But was hoping that it'll sell and, that will be like. And the content he didn't like, or he was having. So he said, you're doing this for your daughter. Who does this? And my dad was like, no, she's just helping me out. No, this doesn't look like it's an amateur's work. My dad came back, he was stuck because the money was there. And at that time, he was a bit of we had like, and I was like, he was like, maybe we messed up on the shows and everything. I said, let me sort it out. And there was the last 2 lakhs left. And then I made this Hum Panch pilot. I said, let that gentleman, we should not sell it to him. I don't think he wants to buy from us. Let me do my own. I'll go and, I did it like I said, I got a new set of writers. Never worked before. None of the big writers were there in that. We discussed just a bunch of newcomers. It was Hum Panch. I went to Siddhi Vinayak and I put the pilot and that time my dad's surname, people didn't know him as Kapoor. Jitendra was his name. So I kept my name. I put my mom's name, Shobha Kapoor, Ekta Kapoor, put the pilot there. And I reached home. Before I reached home, I got a call. They had seen the pilot and they had loved it. And they said, who's made this? You come here, you are approved. And so Zee TV took me seriously. And this show went on Zee. And then the rest is history. So I stumbled upon creativity.
Sitting at across the table from Zee and doing business with, with the men who were running Zee at that time, as an 18-year-old young woman, that must have been really something. What did that feel like? Did it feel like they were constantly dismissing you?
There was a lady there and she was, although later on the big bosses at Zee took me seriously and they were very nice to me. The lady who was sitting there, she kept saying to my dad that, I don't think it's right. We should not be giving this kind of money to a child and stuff like that. And I would tell my dad, like, before a meeting, you're going to say these things in the room and I'm going to take you in. And he's like, okay. And then after some time I told him, I said, no, you're not going to go with me. Because they have to start taking me seriously.
Yeah.
No one takes me seriously. They think I'm just in the room So I'm like, I have to do this for myself. 4 days they'll dismiss me. 5th day they'll have to take me seriously.
I remember someone once telling me, while I was in corporate, I was in television, they said, tum ladki ho, pyar se apna kaam chalao.
Oh, they were like...
I was 36 at that. So I've not been a ladki for 20 years, but thank you.
I still remember, I've had many instances, men on the set are screaming their lungs out, but there were so many rumors, oh, she threw her mobile and all.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, if I'm asking for my episode, bloody get my episode on time, there would be memes on it. I'm like, those guys are abusing. So clearly aggression in women is taken pretty badly.
Yeah.
But you get a thick skin later and you're like, at one point, if I'm not able to lead, how will I let other girls lead? There used to be this whole story that all these girls who come out of Balaji are nakchadis. Nakchadi women who think no end of themselves. Mini Ektas walking around. I'm like, my God, I feel so happy. I feel finally I've done something. Women asking for their space is nakchadi. And clearly, any kind of aggression that is... So, yeah, they pyar se kaam karo. Sweet. My father even telling, sweetly, darling, people don't like, and I keep telling him, Papa, people will never like me. And if they don't like me, that's okay. I have to like myself. That's where it begins and ends. A friend of mine told me, this, first of all, you become a producer. It's a male profession. I said, and I put it on the Emmy speech. I said, the whole world is produced by women, my friend. Tell me one man who's produced anything.
it's been all of these years. You've worked in all the formats. You've done
tried.
television, you've done film, you've done now OTT, you've done all of these things. Is there a trick you have when you're looking at something to say, ha, ye chalega, or I don't think this is not gonna.
You know, actually, there is this that I actually believe that I want to be. I have failed so much on every medium. If anyone goes to see the amount I've failed, because I have not been able to. You see, the mediums change so fast that you have to constantly learn, unlearn, learn, unlearn, and somehow what you think sometimes will be ye chalega. I can tell you, man, there is 10 stories that what I thought would work worked, and then I'll tell you 10 stories what I thought would work
Didn't work.
So I've actually come to one simple thing: if I enjoy the process, that's good enough, because the outcome's not in my hands.
So your yardstick is if it's fun when you're doing it, and
Yeah, and you're
everybody's
feeling
enjoying
something, but
Yeah.
it like the outcome can still not work, and you have to live with it.
Tell me about the failure. You said you failed in every platform, in every format.
Every format.
How do you process failure?
First of all, I look at it like, no, the human thing is that it does hit you, but then you show up again and you start working again, and you get your team to believe that this is not the end of the world, and you have to move on. And after some time, on certain days, the team tells you this is not the end of the world. You need to move on. So it's like mutual therapy that keeps happening. And I have a very invested team. We've had some really bad days where we all sat in the room and said, okay, I've lost my touch, it's over, I'm done. I don't know how I'm gonna manage. Everyone, I'm irrelevant, it's all over. And then we look at each other and say, but we know nothing else, so let's get back to the job.
You actually, that's, being relevant is a really interesting thing to bring up, right? Because during the reigns of the TRPs on television,
Absolutely.
right, you were the queen. You were hitting TRPs that no one imagined, and everybody expected you to hit a higher note
Yes, yes.
week on week. To Wednesday, Thursday TRP numbers, and you were setting a different bar, and now technology has changed the space.
Absolutely.
How did you make that change? So,
So, the medium, I was in a monopolistic market, being a monopoly and a leader, which is an unheard of situation. That whole medium was running, and then came the time when I lost all my ratings. So I went from top 35 shows to not one in top 50. And it happened in a year. And I had no work, and I would show up to office, but there was no work. So I would sit in my cabin with my associates and say, let's do some creative development. So I always know that you can go back to that, and it can happen anytime. And I always work. That's why I keep myself engaged. Was the monopoly great? Yes, of course it was. Was being the most relevant thing or the most topical thing at that time great? Yes, it was. But I also saw the day wherein it didn't then one day, and it happened in 6 months. Faye, in 6 months, TRP systems changed. Balika Badu came, and I was out. I was a has-been. So I realized that, and it happened in 2008. So it's like I've seen evolution. I've seen so now the cycle doesn't affect me anymore.
you had teams to support and salaries to pay and revenue to show. How did you manage that? If overnight you lost your position?
So I was in a state wherein the company shows had ended, and I was like, I didn't know how to do it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to move towards films, because there at least the IP is mine, and I'll move towards making a more integrated business, like a portfolio content business that I've done now. So there's digital, there's TV, there's digital, which is B2B, there's digital B2C, there's television, there's film. So if anything ever fails, there's enough of buoyancy in the company. But that time it wasn't so.
Yeah.
I had salaries to pay. People worked per day in Balaji, but they knew that we won't move out, because even though we are not employed,
Yeah.
we will have a regular job. And I was letting them down. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was so upset about it that when QQ ended, my mom sent me out of the city. She just said, you go out of the city. Then I was like, okay, fine, now it's happened. Now I'll have to go and so I asked everyone for work again, went to everyone's office and said, please give me one show, I'll do it again. And Pavitra Rishta happened. And Bade Achhe Lagte Hain happened. It took about 4 years to then, and I did a lot of movies. Then I went to Harvard and did a course just to understand this is my fixed cost. And if I have to cover this fixed cost, I have to, at any point of time, have 5 shows on air. And I said, now beg, borrow, work. I need that the fixed cost is covered. And then I will look at profits. So then I went back, I understood, okay, out of all these case studies, this is the one that resonates with my business. And I need to do this so that all the people who are working with me, they are safeguarded. Then I can go on to other things. That's why I always believe that, some decisions may not be extremely woke, but they're extremely practical, because there are a lot of people who expect you to come show up, because they are indirectly, they'll be affected by your creative decisions.
So when you say not woke, what do you mean?
Means like, there was this time when I was told that, you should just take some time off and just make one amazing show. And that clearly hits the right notes, and it's a great brand building exercise, and you as a woman should just make, like, in fact, you and I did a show and I was at home, and I have to tell you this, I wanted to say this. I've actually thought, whenever I come on your show, if I ever decide to do a podcast, that will be yours, and I will tell you this.
Okay.
So you had Gunita,
yes,
Gunit and Zoya.
Yes.
And I was at home. And I had, my eyes were like squinting, and I was on the camera.
And you were trying to see
what you guys were saying. And everyone was saying about, they're doing like these 2 shows, and they absolutely clearly are sure that till the content does not speak the right to things. And I was like, no, but I can't do that. And you like looked at me and said, fair enough. I said, because I never had a chance to tell you, when you're running 1,000 episodes a year, we make more content. Until 2 years ago, we were making 1,000 episodes a year. I just used to work with this, that I have to make this much content, because these many people come to work every day at Balaji. And it was not like out of some kind of greatness. It was just what a professional does, And that's why I was like, I remember wanting to tell you that there was a question you asked me about sexual jokes in films. Are they okay? I'm like, why are the boys not being asked this? Because a lot of male movies have and it's not that I only did. I did a lipstick under my burqa.
Yeah.
I did.
You did
Thank you for coming.
Picture.
I did that dirty picture. So I clearly don't have a problem with sex.
You did Veer, yeah.
And so I was like very okay with it. So I never thought it was an issue. But when you create that kind of volume, you just cannot curate content. It's just impossible. You can curate in larger arc.
Yeah.
But the nuanced content will just go out of the window, because you're like...
I remember I spent 17 years in television, right? And television is about telecast. You have a deadline, you have to make the telecast. Right? And that telecast deadline then takes over your life. Because it just is, have you published? Is it in? Is the question that everybody's asking. But now we live in a different world. We live in a, in a world where the internet's deadlines are very different. How has that changed the way you're producing your content?
See, the internet has been, I don't know, the deadlines in internet are very different, because at least when you're producing content, like I do, not news, you have the time to edit and put it out there. You don't have to meet your appointment viewing times.
Yeah.
But there are other issues.
Like?
Because I remember when I was running Alt, we had some 100 cases on me.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this is new. I mean, there is clearly something. I was offending a new person every day.
Yeah.
And my team was clearly, they were like, okay, now what is the problem with this? And I'm like, is there any logic to this? Because no, there's an FIR. And who am I going to deal with?
Yeah, because you can't predict.
I can't predict.
Yeah,
I was like, I was sitting with other issues. I still remember there was a time when there was a morcha house, and nobody knew about this, where there was people throwing things, and I had gone for a holiday. And my son was inside the house. And I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, okay. And clearly, I can't curate so much content. It's a company. But clearly, because there were two women, and it was that, so there was.
There was this idea though with Alt Balaji that it was created to be risky.
Risky, yes.
Was that part of the strategy?
Absolutely. And I would not deny the strategy, although people were like, my mom till now holds me like completely, like she is pretty much a prude and I'm pretty much I don't like fitting in, you know, it's my problem. I have an issue with when somebody tells me, I feel bad girls make history and you have to be out there and some people will hate you, but you have to say what you believe in. So I always say that I don't have a problem with sex. I have a lot of problem with sexual crime. And I feel that people misunderstand the two things so badly that the confusion lands up in bigger crimes later. So I had like these 8 girls sitting and I was like, we're going to do something. We're going to launch Alt Balaji and y'all are going to curate the content. And y'all are going to see that we're going to normalize sex for the world. And we're going to be risky and we're going to wear it on our sleeves. Because everyone is telling me that, you know, you make these women wear saris and it's regressive. I think that is equally progressive. And this is equally progressive. Why not celebrate women in costumes like you celebrate women in saris? And let's do this. And suddenly it hit us like a ton of bricks. We didn't know what happened. And then it was all into, and it was like, okay, then of course there was, you couldn't curate the content. Some of it was not savory. My mom was like, who's put this out? And then you had to walk out of it and then there was a mess.
I mean, this does happen in any organization, right? When you start off, I mean, I've read the stories about you that you were approving each and every episode in the beginning, and then it just reaches a point where it's humanly impossible for you to check everything. And I know this happens to all businesses, right? At some point, you have to start handing stuff off. And then you see something that should have never gone. And you're like, who approved this? But you can never explain to your audience that, listen, I've had to hand off some stuff. Does it make you insecure to delegate? Or
it does, because at sometimes you're delegating your but now I have realized that people have to earn that
the right to delegate,
the right to be delegated something, and I'm okay to tell someone that, listen, I need to have this trust issue, at least because I mean, now I'm not running Alt, but when we were running Alt, like me and my mom, every day she was getting upset and she's not of an age. She's like, I cannot imagine how to explain to somebody who's above 70 that, Mom, this is not what we put out. This is what we put out. This is a video that I don't know how it landed up. Oh, this was something that we picked up. Oh, you guys bought it. Okay, why did you guys buy it? Oh, we didn't realize this was a problem. Oh no, oh my God. It was like a mess.
Have you re-strategized Alt Balaji now, or is it still the same?
It's owned by us, but we don't run it. So it's like an arm's length thing. I don't really look into it, but of course there is now a proper team. They do the but even then, now and then it keeps happening that if I see something, I'm like, how is this even? But anyway, you guys are dealing with it. But I would not approve this, and let's like. But one time there were girls running it. And there were these women, and I remember my head, who's now running another channel, she called me up and she said, we won't put this episode out. And I said, why? She said, while it is anti-rape, I don't like the way he shot it. It's like he's celebrating it. I said, they don't put it out. Throw the episode. So they threw the episode. I said, loss on me. I'll pay it from my salary, but this will not go out. So we did those things, but you know, it never went the right way.
So, you know, you were just listing out the different kinds of work you've done. You've done Lipstick Under My Burqa, you've done Buckingham Murders, you've done
Married Woman.
Yeah. So there are two distinct baskets. Do you see this like, okay, this is commercial work, ye chalega, this is, you know, this is for a certain purpose, and this is the sort of prestige work that I want to do, which will tell the stories?
Of course. Like, I'm not going to lie that I love doing marquee work. I love doing content that makes a difference. But I also run a company. So I have to do work that works for a commercial success. I have investors, I have people who work with me. So that job also happens. And then I sometimes say, okay, if we can pad this marquee work with a great director or a great actor, can we get this sold? Or can we bundle it with our large scale content?
Right.
So I always tell people that Udta Punjab and Lutera happened because of Nagin. If there was no Nagin, or Bade Achhe Lagte, these films would have not been commissioned by me. Because I could commission them. Because I told the channels who were really happy with the television work that, okay, let's do this. Let's buy this at a little premium price because you're giving us these premium numbers.
You were also credited, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, for finding, the sort of the shock sound on the serials.
Yeah.
Which was it in order to stretch it to 26 minutes and to get that one storyline to last longer in an episode?
So I'll tell you why it was.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple thing. We had very small budgets, and in those
Right.
small budgets, you need to get people to know that it's a really big movement. Come on, watch it. So it's like the underlining thing. So sometimes music would pick it up, and sometimes you do this, and because the women in a house, there's 6, 7 people sitting there watching TV, they're eating.
They're getting distracted.
And then the woman is going to take some roti from the kitchen. She should know the big moment. Sound comes, she comes out. Oh, what happened? So it was like, come out now. This is the moment now. You watch the television at this moment.
And this is
prompts like
these are prompts. These are really interesting for me as someone who's watching the environment and environment that I live in also, which is when you're watching television, your cooker is going off, the dog is barking, doorbell, bacha's talking to you all at the same time, so you're getting distracted. Now people are watching on their screens, which is a small screen is a very private thing, different from film, where you put away everything, everything's on silent, and you commit those 3 hours or 2 hours to the program that you're watching. No one's going to disturb you. So when you're producing for these different formats, are you bringing all of this in to strategy, saying,
Of course, because you see, it's what you're watching on your first screen. It's called the first screen, second screen format.
yeah,
The first screen format is you're competing now with, it's just a world of content. It's like you're competing with a woman sitting making laddus in some part of the world. And she's making lovely laddus.
Yeah.
And you'll watch that with equal interest and somebody talking about a heart attack.
yeah,
And then Faye is giving some brilliant piece of news and her point of view. And you're watching that. Now, where will you fight with that in a show?
Yeah.
These are some really... But when you're on that screen, you're now going to watch something which makes you escape. So it has to have a certain amount of impact. It has to have certain amount of storytelling engagement, so that you actually put the phone aside and say, "Oh my God, let me see what's happening."
yeah.
So that's how you probably.
So what are the
differentiate.
prompts and the cues on your second screen content?
So I think it depends. Like Netflix will do something really large scale. So you know that now in the night when I'm watching this, I can't be looking at my mobile. On television, they will do some really engaging, every moment twist and turn which people will watch.
Kyuki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. You call it your first born, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me where that came from.
My life-changing experience, I would call
Yeah.
it that. It happened when I was 25. I still remember when the show launched. It launched in the afternoon and the prime time happened. I was dying to do drama. No one was giving me a chance to do drama. I had an Hum Punch. It was a super success. Everyone said, do comedy. And I was like, okay, but I want to do drama. And then this show happened and it really did well. And then, of course, it changed the dynamics. Dinner table conversations were there. Of course, there was the good and the bad. People criticized it as regressive. I will never accept that because I think it was the most progressive show of its time. And we had so much fun doing it because every twist was spoken about. And now, now we're getting it back when television is no longer dinner table conversation for at least the 9 cities mostly, except for Anupama, that is doing really well. But even that, every day, every twist doesn't become dinner table conversation. And that probably for me is the best show India has launched in the last 7 years. And yet we are not able to do that. So there is something.
So what brought on the reboot of Kyuki? And I know that from your Instagram post, you said it made you nervous, the idea of revisiting, because
it is very, it's like saying that I'm going to play with the legacy of a nostalgia by bringing it today and it's like an aftertaste. If the medium doesn't support anything to become dinner table conversation. Something that was dinner table conversation now is going to be put through another exam, and 99.9% chance, no, 110% chance it will fail if you compare it to the old Kyonki.
Hmm.
Even if the episodes are far better than the old Kyonki.
Because the expectations are too high.
Expectations are high.
For me, the interesting thing is bringing Smriti Irani back. What was that conversation like? When you told her.
So we spoke,
Yeah.
both of us, like it's 25 years and we talk a lot. She's a friend also, and I told her that, this is happening. She's like, we should do this, na? And I was like, I told her we should do this, but I don't think we should ever do it actually. And she said, no, why? We should do this. I said, why should we do this? We have a legacy show. We're going to put it through the realism of today and fight nostalgia. You can't fight nostalgia. She's like, don't you think we deserve to give back to television? And it hit me so hard. It's true. Maybe the show will fail and it will, and bring 110. It's not even 99% chance. It can never match up to the old Kyonki. But the character got established at a time when there was very little in the world. Okay. So it is there. People is resonating. And there is so many. So the excitement that why I've done this, I don't want to sound Puritan or greater, I'm coming for the greater good of mankind or anything of the sort. But we do so much of content which is woke, smart, intelligent. For the intelligent, smart,
Gen
woke.
Z, yeah.
No, the smart are seeing the smart content.
Yeah.
The masses who need to see something through entertainment, through masala, through you tell them one thing and it starts making them think. That power we have lost. 2000 to 2005, I remember this writer sitting in front of me a few days ago. He told me, my father hated you. And my father didn't know me. Why did he hate me? He's like, he hated you because you know what you did? I said, what? My mom once told him something. And he said, तू जवाब दे रही है, ये सब टीवी के वजह से हो रहा है तेरे में. तू जवाब कैसे दे सकती है? तो he said, मेरी मॉम ने तुलसी को फैमिली फंक्शंस पे यहाँ वहाँ बोलते हुए देखा कि ये मेरा ओपिनियन है. तो उन्हें लगा कि वो भी अपना ओपिनियन रख सकती है. I don't know, this is the biggest compliment I have ever received. Your father hated me because your mom got a voice. I love it. I love it.
When people say that, oh, you portrayed a very regressive sort of idea of women, is your rebuttal to that saying it was not meant for you, it was meant for a different audience?
It's like it's an anti-populist movement, my friend. Anything that is populist gets criticized by those who feel threatened by an inclusive content. You see, people feel smarter when the content is not for everyone.
Yeah.
They feel like they are a highbrow thinking audience that is now thinking. So they are now at a higher pedestal and they won't watch something which is for everyone. It's an anti-populist.
So tell me what the reboot is going to be like. Is it just going to be a hat tip to the Kyuki that we saw earlier? Is it going to be different? Have you written it for a younger audience or a more urban audience or the rural? What is it going to be?
So I've written it. If I plan writing a show for an audience, then I can't write it.
Okay.
So I wrote it very clearly to deal with topics that I feel television has to talk about. And I feel like these are topics that I go through. Like parenting. How much is control? How much is concern? So she's at that age now, Tulsi, when we start, and I don't want to say too much.
Okay.
Wherein she's parenting. She's realizing that I come, and usually mothers are the bridge between children and the parents and the older generation. And you want to be your child's friend.
Yeah.
But you also feel when the elders tell you that, you are like, you're just giving in to them. Where's the mother in you? Where's the friend in you is becoming... So even love marriage is we arranged in normal homes is such a conversation. Should we let our children choose? or should we curate their choice?
Yeah.
Because tomorrow if they make a mistake, we'll hold ourselves guilty that we
Yeah.
never overlooked this. So
Mm.
these are conversations. Like, I feel I wanted to do it only because I feel like this is going to be fun. Finally, we are going to have these conversations back again.
Are you doing 11 episodes? Are you going to do more than that? What's the plan?
It's much more than 11, but it's much less than what normal TV does.
Mm.
So it's limited for that way, but it's linear TV after all.
On the business front, though, you're a very interesting company that's also listed,
Yes.
and you're a very instinctive leader. That's instinct is not very stock market friendly because of the way the stock market likes to deal with businesses.
So even though I personally think I have a long way to go as far as my valuation goes, I actually worked my because a lot of the fundamentals are the same. You see,
Give me an example.
yeah, I'll tell you. Like now, I run a portfolio business. What does that
Yes.
mean? I incubate the company, I save the company, I protect the company from sudden. If TV suddenly all shows end, there's a film company, there's a digital company that's producing for other channels. If alt fails, there is a production house that makes digital shows. So there is so many different formats I deal with every day that the talent I work with different mediums keeps the company afloat at any point of time. And if any one department is failing, the portfolio business, what is it?
Yeah.
Three of the four things will
Yeah.
work, and or two out of the four things will work, and that's how I've been. So if you see the fundamentals of that, and they still have their level of creativity, they still have work. I'm still working with creators, but running a company, what I've been able to do is when I'm in a room and I feel like this creator is better than me, I don't start competing with that creator. I instantly want to ally. So if I hear like a Lutera, I'm like, I can't make this, but I definitely want to make this. Or if I hear a dream girl, I'm like, this is the one which will give me my commercial success. So the instinct comes to play, but I no longer operate only like a creator. I operate like a business person.
If you were to examine your career up till now, what are your biggest learnings that you tell yourself at 18?
It's learning for life and my career. My dad told me that, and I never understood it till now. Is that this too shall pass. If it's great, it'll pass. If it's shit, it'll pass. If it's brilliant, it'll pass. If it's terrible, it'll pass. You just know it'll pass.
Yeah, just put your boots on.
Yeah, and it'll just pass.
Yeah.
So you can't hold on to a great moment or a bad moment. You just have to know it'll pass.
Yeah. You just have to keep moving. Are you a tough negotiator?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think I'm a great. My mom is. She's a great businesswoman.
All of this time, what does your mom do? What do you do?
She's a sharp negotiator. She runs the full budget finance of a business. I creatively curate and creatively run this business, and we both are constantly at each other's throats and yet have the hugest respect for each other.
Yeah.
And I think we can only manage this because we're mother-daughter.
Do you consider yourself a feminist?
I am a feminist.
Can you tell me what that means to you? Because I found that people have different...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like recently... my optics would be very wrong for a feminist, because I'm like a few days ago I was working with this gentleman, and I know that there's some really, like, he has a few things that I'm not unsavory, and he's working with the company, not with me directly, and the team is working with him. And then in optics, that would not be like, but like I'm like, when I work with someone, I have these very clear formats of how Balaji has to work.
Right.
So you work with so many people, sometimes you just don't like somebody's energy, sometimes you don't like the way they've probably dealt with women, and then you see to it that when you're working with such a large company, you don't throw people up. You see how they work in your system. Like there used to be this gentleman. For me, that'll give you an idea. Like he had a problem, and everyone came to me and said that he has a problem with girls wearing jeans on the set. And I was like, what? He said, don't throw him out. Just tell him he will have all the creators who wear jeans, he will have to work with them.
Hmm.
So I believe in the working towards changing a mindset than asking somebody to leave or shunning. The cancel culture doesn't work for me
Hmm.
because then it's only about optics. The optics I feel are the bigger problem here. My personal belief in feminism is that it's about choice. Women and men have to get equal opportunity and equal choice. If that an equal stage, no sense of even positively supporting or giving anything more to a woman or any imbalance will ever work in their favor in the future. It'll be a
Hmm.
consolation prize.
Hmm.
But equal opportunity from exactly ground up is what I
Yeah.
feel is.
Yeah. For me, it's always been equal rights, equal opportunity, equal pay. And almost all arguments will fall into these three categories. That
I'll tell you about equal pay. I think it's not a gender problem. I said it last time also, and I'm going to be totally panned for this one.
okay?
Why there is no equal pay? Women are paid far more on television, like far more. That way, on optics, television is the only medium that pays writers well and women well. The two things that never get paid well.
Hmm.
Women are paid far more than men.
Not in news.
Let me tell you, in television,
Okay.
none of the women on any show, on any platform, are paid less than the men. Unless the guy is worked for that many years. But if you calculate in exact numbers of how many years a woman has worked, the woman would get more money. But it all comes down to it's a female-led medium.
Hmm.
The medium is run by women. It goes back to the basic. You tell stories about women. Women should watch it. Once they watch it, the commerce works out. Women get paid.
Hmm.
It's a cycle.
I know that you are a deeply spiritual person. What is your current spiritual philosophy by which you're living your life right now?
See, I believe that. So I'm a religiously agnostic person in the way that I believe in all religions. I don't like follow
Okay.
one only. I'm like, I keep a rosa once in a while. I every year keep a rosa actually. I believe in these various energies. I believe that most stories on religion are made for masses, but there's always a thought process behind it. But the one thing I believe in, which every religion says, is every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Hmm.
And that is a thought of karma. That whatever you do, so shall reap what this,
As you sow.
as you sow, you will reap. So that is the simplest and the only belief I live with.
Hmm.
If I'm having a bad day and I'm like snappy, someone will be snappy back to me.
Hmm.
There's always someone bigger than you. And you have to remember that.
Yeah.
Life is all about this. That's the only real belief I feel that I live with because that resonates with me. Because whatever I'm doing,
Hmm.
whatever I do, will come back to me.
It was always written about how you believe in astrology and numerology.
I still do.
You still do, and the letter
Just
K.
imagine this world. At one time, they used to run away from astrology. Now everyone's into astrology.
Hmm.
I'm going to start an astrology business. I think even now there's so many quacks out there. I love astrology. I think it's an
Yeah.
unknown science. I study it. It's my passion.
So even now, before you launch a project or before you do something, you consult your
Oh,
astrologer.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do Vastu, I do spelling, I do numerology, I do everything. And I still have the ability to say this might not work and I let it
Yeah.
go. So I work between keeping everything from hard work to the astrology right, and yet
Sometimes it fails, and that's okay.
that's okay. I still believe in astrology. I believe in the science of it, yes.
Ekta, when we start our careers, we're all looking to make money.
Of
We
course.
look to make money for ourselves and for the people who work with us, and everyone should be happy and successful. But as we get older, those goals change a little bit. Are you now working more for legacy? Are you working? What are your targets right now?
I still work for money. I still work for money, not for myself, but because I actually believe that the value of this company, when I unlock it, I feel there is a little, there's an anger in me that I'm not being able to do some things right. I feel there are so many people who work in the company. I want to create many more millionaires than millions, actually. I feel there's a scope for the company to grow, and that can only happen with money. And I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
So what's your valuation right
but
now?
on a
And what do you-
personal
what-
level,
yeah.
I want to grow with legacy. They're two different. As a professional, I want to I want to have a very buoyant company financially. But on a personal level, my firm belief is, what is my legacy? What is my relevance?
Yeah.
I want to play the game of relevance in personal life.
What does that mean?
Mr. Bachchan, he's relevant even today. So no youngster. At 21, I used to have youngsters coming to me and saying, "My mom loves your show." Eventually, I want to be that person that somebody says, "My kids love your show."
What is the valuation of the company right now, and where do you want to take it?
It's around 1,000+ crores, and I want to take it to at least 500 million. I think media hasn't been able to unlock the IP valuation, and I'm hoping to do that.
Are there models in the West that we have not picked up yet?
Yeah, many.
They're sort
In
of
a movie, exploitation in India is only 3 or 4 things you exploit: digital, satellite, television. Satellite is
songs,
television,
music.
songs,
Yeah.
overseas global sales, and India theatrical. Overseas, there are more than 100.
Hmm.
We're so far behind in our levels of exploitation. We're not able to do it.
For anyone who wants to be you, because now we have a world where people are saying, I want to produce, I want to write, I want to direct. We're not in the era where everybody thought that everybody, you had to be a star, you had to be a heroine to be in films. What is your advice to content creators, people who want to?
I started from my dad's garage. You just have to start. You just have to start with whatever you have. A mobile, start with a mobile. Don't listen to anyone. Keep yourself, be your biggest cheerleader. No one will praise you, protect you, lift you. You have to do it yourself, and you have to do it constantly, again and again, again and again. And then bring yourself down, protect yourself when there are too many people doing it. So you have to play both roles. Play your biggest cheerleader and play your biggest critic.
Geeta, thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you, Faye. It's always been fun talking to you.
Always a pleasure. All the best for the
Thank you so
reboot.
much.
Thank you.